our recording, and it looks like we are streaming live. Let's make sure that that's set up and we're good to go. It looks like we're doing good. Okay. Yay. Maybe, let's see. Okay, looks like we're doing good. All right. So welcome everybody. This is the last session for today. We're so excited to have Tess with us today talking about the Enneagram and all of the things that go along with that and how important it is for us to know not only maybe our Enneagram, but also our children, so that we can really kind of build those relationships and make sure that we're parenting to the best of our ability. Let me make sure that I am not somewhere else. I feel like I'm hearing my own feedback. Let's see. That should be good. Okay. All right. Tess, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you and we'll go ahead and get started. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm so excited to chat about all of this. The Enneagram is kind of my life. I am super obsessed with it and I love coaching people on the Enneagram. So I'm really excited about our topic today. And not only did I want to go into our children's Enneagram, the Enneagram might be new to you as well. So I wanted to do a brief overview because I can tell you as a mother myself, knowing my Enneagram type has empowered me as a mom. It has truly made me feel like I could be the mom that I needed for my children, but also give of myself, because I felt like as soon as I had kids, I felt a little lost. I was floundering. I don't know if anyone else had that moment where they're like, motherhood does not really feel like it should be picture perfect. It's way worse. And so I really come to realize that my Enneagram type was super involved in this and super involved in the way I parented my children and the way that I needed love and reflection because I was not getting gold at the end of the night because my children were kept alive. Although I would like to start a committee where we do that and just go hand gold stars to people, please. So I'm just going to go kind of over the overview of each of the Enneagram types. I am known as the Enneagram mom. So mostly I work with women and moms on figuring out their own Enneagram type so you can grow and heal. And that brings generational growth. I'm a huge believer in generational growth and moving forward. So let's just hop over each of the Enneagram types and figuring out your Enneagram type. So if this is something you don't know, that's okay. We're going to go over that. So the Enneagram is basically a personality test. I don't want to say test because I actually don't recommend that people take the Enneagram test. I used to, but I'm finding that it is confusing people more than normal. And so I really want people to be very, very clear on their Enneagram types. The best way to understand your Enneagram type is to truly know each of the types. Often I'll have someone come to me and be like, oh, I'm for sure a 4 or a 1 or whatever. And I'll start talking to them and I'm like, no, they're not, because they tested as that number and they were like, oh, so these things fit, so I must be this. The best way to know your type is to have an overview of all of the numbers and to feel like you are understanding the motivation. The difference with the Enneagram compared to a lot of the different things in the world is that most tests are seeing how the world sees you. The Enneagram is how you perceive the world, which is really hard to get in a test. This is something that's very difficult to put into a test and to get an accurate number. So that's what we're going to go into. I'm going to share a bit with each of the type, their motivation, their fear, so you know which one you might possibly be. So the Enneagram is 9 different numbers. You can only be one number, and this actually gets set about in your late teen years, where your number is for sure set. No matter if you go through later traumas in life, whatever it is, your number is set. You are going to go through growth and you're going to go through average to unaverage health in your life. And that's going to affect some of your behaviors, but your number will always stay the same. We also are not just put into a box. There's wings that you have. So you're picking up traits from the number next to you. You also go to a different number in stress, in growth. This is not like we're putting you in a box and you need to behave like this. This instead is such a beautiful thing because this is the way that you can open up and see yourself in various realms. So I'm going to dive into each of the numbers, their motivation, their fears. If you think for sure you might be one, that's awesome. Go ahead and shout it out in the chat. I have the chat up here so I can go ahead and look at it, but let's go into it. Number one, ones are known as the reformers. Now, these are amazing people. And as moms, they are the perfect mom. Okay. As in, they like for everything to be perfect. They're obviously not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but they like for things to be a specific way. They enjoy being orderly and organized. And I love being organized too, but this is something that they believe helps them to be good because that is their motivation. Their motivation is to be good. They want to be seen as good, and their biggest fear is to be seen as a bad person. So good to them looks like following through, following directions to a T, not skipping steps, and making sure things are the way that they are supposed to be. Now, ones are extremely giving to the world. They are constantly looking for ways to improve the world. Twos. So Enneagram twos are known as the giver. So these are seen, it's actually kind of interesting in media. This is the perfect mom in media. So this is the standard we kind of all as moms are being held to. So the giver is a person that is motivated by being loved. They deeply want to be loved by others, and their biggest fear is to not be loved. So they naturally give to other people. Oh, we got a 2 and 3 on here. Woohoo. So they naturally give to other people. They can't help but care for other people. If you walk into a two's home, they're like, have you eaten? Oh my goodness, let's make sure you're fed. And they're like, kind of taking care of you, and you're like, I'm okay, it's fine, I'm fine. And they're like, no, because to them, taking care of others helps them to feel more love. It helps them to feel complete. They are the type of person that can't let go if something happens to another person. They are just deeply caring individuals who might also struggle with setting some boundaries because they don't know how to, like, what's too much in giving to others. So that's a 2. Then we've got the 3. I'm an Enneagram 3. 3s are known as the achievers. So 3s can be very image obsessed. They like to look or be perceived a certain way. They're also known to be chameleons. So these are people that can go into a room and they can feel what everyone needs them to be. 2s can feel what people need them to be, and they go out and they give to them individually to help them. 3s can feel what the room needs them to be, and they can be whatever they need to be. They're kind of like amazing actors. They can also struggle to really know who they are because of maybe the people they've been around their whole life. So these are the achievers. These are the people that are looking for the gold stars in the world. They want to be the best at what they're doing. And whereas the ones want to be perfect, 3s want to be the best and are always looking for ways for things to be more efficient. So they might cut corners, take things a little bit more easier because they are trying to look and be the best. And 3s as parents are always wanting their children to be achieving as well. So next one is a Enneagram 4. Enneagram 4s are the individualists. Now, these are incredible women. I love every 4 I meet. They are so unique. Each and every one of them is completely different. They're a completely unique bunch, but some things that do set them straight for them to be themselves is that they are motivated by others seeing them. They want to be truly seen by others. They want to make a difference in the world and make an impact. So they are very interesting because they want to fit in, but they also want to stand out, but they also want to fit in, but they also want to stand out. They kind of tiptoe on this balance. They are incredible at seeing what each person is capable of doing, and seeing each person's unique talents and seeing the creativity behind each person. They see the world in beauty, and they also have very, very deep feelings. They can feel 12 emotions at once, and it might be overwhelming for some of us, but for them, they feel them, and they kind of get a high on sadness sometimes. Like if you think of sadness from the movie Inside Out, totally a 4. They go into those sad moments, it gives them energy, and it also helps motivate them to keep going. So that's an Enneagram 4. We've got our Enneagram 5s. Now, their whole motivation is to be competent. They want to be seen as intellectuals and smart to other people. So this requires them to kind of step into the role of the knowledge seeker. These are the people that are like, hey, let me Google that. Let me check this out. Let me make sure, because they want to know the facts behind everything. Whereas a 1 wants to be perfect and do things correctly. 5s have to actually go by what the research says. That is their brain. They think very, very logically and very, very clear. They are very good about having that separation of emotions. It doesn't mean they don't have emotions. They are just very good at separating them and maybe hiding them away so that others can't see them, because their whole thing is to be knowledgeable and to be able to give by giving more knowledge to other people. So that's the Enneagram 5. Enneagram 6s are known as the loyalists. Now, these are incredible women. Each and every, there's no bad numbers again. And you might think your number's bad number, your number's fantastic, but 6s are known as the people that are prepared. They're prepared for all situations. Okay. If you see inside of like a 6's diaper bag or their purse, they are prepped and ready to go in case any situation comes up. To some, it may look like anxiety. To them, they just feel like they're super prepared. And that's okay, because their whole motivation is to feel safe and to have safety as their prime example. They are so afraid of not being safe and of not having things together. So knowing that a 6 wants to be prepared, they are the perfect parent to make sure that their children are doing a great job and are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And they're also able to be present and be loyal and connected to whoever's around them. Then we've got our wonderful 7s. So 7s are known as, oh, the word just left me, are enthusiasts. There we go. 7s are known as the enthusiasts. They are a whole party in a nutshell. And that there's, I'm noticing there's 2 different types, or they're meshed together. There's either the social butterfly 7, or there's like the more introverted. This one might be more extroverted, or you could have a mixture of both the 7s, which is totally fine. So 7s, they're anything to avoid pain at all costs. And that usually means making a joke. Let's let some light in. Let's be optimistic about this. We don't want to talk about things that could be painful or hurt us. And so they kind of want to avoid that pain, and instead of letting themselves feel all of the emotions. So they kind of ride on happiness. They are adventure seekers, and they're always looking to get more content, which is really hard when you're just constantly seeking for more contentment. So 8s are, yes, they are the Mavericks. So 8s are incredibly awesome. They are known as the challengers. They have an 8-wing 7. She's known as the Maverick. They are the challengers. And this gets one of the worst draps of all the Enneagrams. Being an 8 is not a bad thing. I've got to say that over and over again. I have so much respect for Enneagram 8s on so many levels, especially as a woman Enneagram 8. So Enneagram 8s, they are able to be bold, be strong. They do not understand how not to be authentic. They get right to the point. They are very direct, and they are able to stand up for others. They are extremely, if an 8 has let you in their inner circle, they love you and they will protect you at all costs, because you are now one of their prime priorities. These are also the people that love to have this conflicting conversations with people. They love to see where people can stand on their own and have this powerful conversation with others. So then we've got the 9. The 9 is known as the peacemaker. Oh, the 8s, their whole goal is freedom, which means freedom for themselves and freedom for others, so that other people can live their life the way they want to, and they can also live the life they want to. And then we got 9, the peacemaker. Again, their whole goal is to be a peacemaker. They would like to have inner stability all the time. They want to be comforted. They would like for there to be peace constantly. So they might avoid conflicting conversations, which sometimes need to happen. But these are the people that you naturally feel warm with, you feel comfortable with, because they can see all sides of a situation and they can relate and care for others. 9s are extremely comforting and extremely loving. So those are all the Enneagram types. I'm hoping that it's helping you maybe decide, okay, I might be this one and this one. Again, you're looking at motivation more than anything else. So if you're wondering now about your wings, because we've had a few people say like they're an 8-wing 7, 2-wing 3, we had a 6-wing 7. Yes, Ellen was a 6-wing 7. So the wings are the numbers next to your number. So if you're a 9, your wing might be a 1 or an 8. If you're a 7, your wing might be an 8 or a 6. So the way that you figure out your wing is you look at the traits of the wings. So you look at the traits of the ones next to you and you pick which one you have the most traits of. That's your wing. That's how you figure that out. So I'm a 3. I have I picked out my 3. So let's pretend it's an ice cream cone. I got my chocolate ice cream cone. I'm a 3. And then the sprinkles are my wings. I have traits of a 4. One of my traits that I pull heavily from the 4 is authenticity. I am truly who I am. I am what I say it is. That's just part of me that's not typical for a 3. So I sprinkle some of that on there, but the 2s, I got tons of sprinkles from that side. I am giving. I want to make sure that others get cared for. The other day, a skunk got hit on the side of the road and there were 4 babies walking on the side of the road. And I was trying to figure out how I could go pick up all these baby skunks. And my husband's like, we are not picking up baby skunks. And I was like, it's going to happen. I need to save them. And I still to this day can't stop thinking about them. So I have the most from the 2. So even though I have some 4, most of my traits come from the 2. So I'm a 3 wing 2. And you might have a little from each side. No matter what it is, whatever one you're relying on a little bit more, that's going to be your wing. That's it right there. So you might be a really, really strong 3 or really, really strong 2 with a little bit of that wing. You will always lean to one or the other of a wing. So that's how you figure those out. If you want to know more about stress or growth, I actually just did a series on my Instagram, which is the.enneagram.mom, where I go into showing yourself what number you go to in stress. I just don't want to take up all this time because I could talk about this for freaking ever. So yeah, this is something that I absolutely love. And that's why I feel like the Enneagram is one of the best personality tests, because it begins to take those pieces of the puzzle that's you and put them together in such a beautiful way. Okay, so now we're going to dive into understanding your children's Enneagram number. So now this is something I get asked a lot. Again, I said at the very beginning, your Enneagram number gets set when you are about in your late teen years. That doesn't mean that maybe you are not going to change. So as a child, we go through trauma. Trauma looks very different to adults as it does to children. Okay, so let's talk about my 4-year-old. He's almost 5. I am 100% positive he was born a 9. He was calm. He loved naps. He was the chillest dude on this earth. I was like, oh my gosh, after my first one is an Enneagram 7, he's a little wild. And so getting a 9 and him just being so calm, I was like, thank you. Oh, I needed this. And then before he turned 1, I found out I was pregnant with my next son, and I had hyperemesis gravidarum. So I was hospitalized. I needed fluid. I went from being this fun, energetic mom to literally lying on the couch for months because I couldn't function. And Then I had my son and he had allergies and all these problems with him. And I had postpartum with him. And this to my child was a trauma. This to my sweet little now 4-year-old was a complete trauma, and his behaviors and his personality shifted. Now, it doesn't mean that I meant to influence, like make a trauma happen in his life, but to a child, a trauma doesn't have to be something crazy. It could be something simple like mommy's sick all the time, or a brother got born, or it can be a move across the country, or it can be a move to a different house. It doesn't matter. Trauma is different with each child, and it can look different, and it can truly affect their personality. And it's not our jobs as parents to stop like traumas from happening, because that's life. Just understanding that these are traumas for them and they might shift their personality. So when figuring out your child's behaviors, because you can't really get deep down to their motivation at this point, you can't be like, I can't go to my 4-year-old and be like, so dude, do you think you're motivated by like being loved? Or do you think you're motivated by like freedom? He's like, I don't know, just give me goldfish crackers. He has no idea what he's motivated by. And so we're going to go off behaviors while they're young. I want you also to take it with a grain of salt. So in figuring out your child's behaviors, which they actually look a little different, I'll go into each of those. They look a little different with a young version of an Enneagram type. And you're going to take those and you might say, I believe my son is like today, my cute little 7-year-old, he came up to me, goes, Mom, I'm 7 and I'm an Enneagram 7. And I'm like, good job, buddy. And I believe my oldest was born a 7. Like his personality, he came out just raring, ready to go, full of energy. If it's not fun, it's not worth it. And so his whole light and his energy has been very much the same. But I also have to think it might change. And as he gets older, I need to let him experience and figure out for himself if he truly is a 7. So we're taking it with a grain of salt. They say often don't Enneagram type other people, but I will say if it's going to improve your relationship with your child, if it's going to improve your relationship with your spouse, it's great to know their Enneagram type. And if they are too young to really have that conversation, you're going to treat them as though they might be one of these numbers, and it will help them and you have a deeper connection together. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the behaviors of the Enneagrams as children, because again, they're going to be very different. Not totally different, but a little different with each of them. So some qualities of an Enneagram 1 child, they can be highly critical of themselves. They also can be highly critical of others. So 1's children, they might have a hard time if people are not following the rules, and they will point them out frequently. They're kind of like policers. They're like, look, this is not correct and they're not doing it the right way. And they will let you know about it. And it's because they want the world to improve. So if everyone follows the rule, it makes sense for them. These are also children that they need a schedule and they need to know what's going on because they don't like things to change very frequently. They like the consistency. And it's because they have a lot of anxiety when things shift and change for them. So these are very responsible children. They are very similar to just a mini adult. I know I have a friend that her daughter's always been like this. She's just like a mini adult. She's always been like the little mom that takes care of the other kids. And it's because that perfectionist in them is like, this is what looks good. This is what good kids do. So they might often repress their anger and frustration. They will bottle it up. They're definitely like the shaken soda. And so while they can be very easy tempered and even tempered, they all of a sudden will explode, and they can be very prone to bursts of energy or bursts of frustration and bursts of anger. These are kids that can always struggle with that critical inner voice, which this is what all ones have, a voice telling them they're not good enough. you're not enough, you're not doing enough, you're not good enough. And it starts at a very, very early age. So some ways that you can help parent your Enneagram 1 child: make sure to have some kind of schedule and keep consistencies for them. That might be hard if you are a different Enneagram number, but letting them know ahead of time is just going to make them feel more empowered, and it will show less aggression in the long run. So don't treat them like a mini adult all the time, because they do have big feelings and big emotions and they don't know how to handle them. Let them be able to express their emotions and let them know that they're safe with you. That you are a completely safe place to be. Set realistic expectations with them and make sure to play with them. When an Enneagram 1 goes into growth, they actually become a 7. And so playing with them is going to make that Enneagram 7 behavior come out more often, which will help them to kind of loosen up. So that's the Enneagram 1 child. So Enneagram 2 children, they are deeply concerned about other people. They often will kind of push themselves to the back so that other people can be taken care of. They are very much like the teacher's pet type children, and they want to make sure that everybody's okay in all situations. They need close relationships and they are very dependent on their friends or their family. They get really, really upset in interpersonal issues. So if any situation with other friends comes up, they feel like they're letting others down or they don't know where to stand. And so they get really frustrated because relationships are one of the prime goals in their life. They also might be ones that step back a little to see what everyone else does before they make a decision. They're very good at reading other people. They struggle to say no, and they get burnt out quite easily from making others, from constantly overdoing it for others. So these are the wonderful 2 children. You can feel they have a lot of burden on their shoulders. They also might be seen as little adults because they just will let everybody else go through. So one of the most important things as a parent of an Enneagram 2 child is teach them to say no. Teach them to set those boundaries, which something, as adults, we are still working on boundary setting, and our children need to know it's okay to say no. It's okay to not be friends with the kids that are always in conflict. It's okay to not do things because everyone else is doing them, and teaching them that boundaries makes them stronger. So another thing is teaching them that their worth isn't dependent on other people, because for what a 2 does, a 2 will make their worth be, oh, I am only worth how much I help others. And so if they're not helping or they're not doing or they're not giving, they think they're of no worth. And so letting them know that their worth, they cannot diminish their worth and what they are able to give. Make sure to validate their own feelings and have conversations with them to express their own feelings, because often a 2 doesn't know what they feel. They know what others around them feel. And so let them know it's okay that they have their own feelings and to let them express them. So those are just some things that we can do to help our 2 children. And then we've got our Enneagram 3 child. So I am an Enneagram 3. And honestly, I think I was born an Enneagram 7. I 100% think I was an Enneagram 7. And then my parents got divorced when I was 1. And I had to go through this trauma again of all of a sudden living at 2 houses and being this people pleaser type person. And I believe that's what shifted me to become an Enneagram 3 and totally shifted my behavior. So 3s are very driven by success and achievement. So they might seem like they're being cocky because they will talk about themselves and what they are achieving and what they are working on. This is not a way to be cocky or to be seeming like extreme confidence. This is a way that a 3 tries to connect, and they do it from a young child to say, look what I did, and not to push themselves on people, but to let themselves go and to go, hey, I understand. I I understand that like you need this. They need, and letting them know that they great job, like letting them know that they are doing things that are worthy of your attention is really important to an Enneagram 3. These are the kids like these similar to Enneagram ones usually don't have to worry about in school because they crave accomplishments. They usually do well in a school type setting because they see what they need to be and they make sure they're at the highest level they can be. So they are very inspiring. They're able to see an opportunity anywhere they go, and they might be seen as competitive, especially at a young age. And often their competitiveness is a trait that you can lean into instead of saying, oh, this is not good to act this way. You can use it to help enhance their behavior to make them feel even better. So some things you can do to parent for an Enneagram 3 is impress on them that they are loved for who they are, not for what they do. That is something they need to know, that they are as themselves loved and lovable. It is not dependent on who they are or what they're bringing to the table, or mostly what they're bringing to the table. So tell them that value, because they're usually looking for a prize or a symbol of recognition, letting them know that no matter what, the end prize is them being themselves and them being unique. Lets them know also, as they are with other children, they might be this high energy person, and let them know that it's okay that other people aren't as fast as they are, or as energized as they are, or ambitious as they are, that other people are allowed to move at their own pace. Show interest in them, because if a 3 is interested in something, it means a lot to them. So take the time to sit down with them and truly get an interest in what something means to them, because if they're sharing it with you, they're usually trying to make a connection with you. And let them be themselves. Let them be their playful, unique, silly self, or whatever they're trying to achieve. Know that you're standing behind them, because their goals mean so much to them and they want to be of value. So Bianca said, how do you figure out or best guess what you're born as? So for me, myself, the way I figured that out was a lot of the behaviors my mom talked about. So my mom describing me as like a toddler was very similar to my Enneagram 7 child. So I would look more as your behaviors as like an infant versus like the behaviors after your trauma, and maybe look at those differences. That's how I kind of figured out mine. And it doesn't mean like I'm 100% accurate, but that's kind of helped me to understand also why I have a lot of 7 traits as well. I'm very similar to a type 7. So that's a little side bit. Okay, if you have an Enneagram 4 child, okay, so these children, very similar to sadness from inside out, they might seem very melancholy. They might get very sad very easily, and they have those big, deep emotions. Let them have those big, deep emotions. It is totally okay that they feel sad. Often as parents, we feel like we need to fix our children, especially if they're sad. It's okay to not fix them. They actually don't need to be fixed. They can feel their deep feelings and go through that and let it be. I will say 4s are more prone to depression than a lot of the Enneagram types. And there is a difference between being depressed versus just feeling sadness. I did a one-on-one call the other day, and I was talking to a 4, and I was like, oh, how's your day? And she's like, it's all right. It wasn't too bad. And I was like, if your day wasn't fantastic, what's the point of being alive? And she's like, I'll have a great day tomorrow. Just today was not the best day, and that's okay. And I was like, people can live in okayness land. I can't live in okayness land. So know that you don't have to fix their problems. Okay. So they can appear very, very moody, or they can appear very self-absorbed. Everything might be about them. Everything they're doing, they want the best things, and just know that authentically, they're trying to discover who they are. So they are looking for beauty and depth in everything that they do, and they're deeply intuitive. They usually, even if they can't say what others are feeling, they can usually tune into what others are feeling quite easily. So they can be very introverted. I mean, if you have a 4-wing 3, they're probably a little bit more extroverted, but naturally 4s are more introverted. So they can struggle being around people for a long period of time. So let them know it's okay to comfort them, or let them have their own space because they need it. That is something for themselves. Often 4s are readers, and they need to go back into their own world or into a fantasy world to kind of get their energy, compress their feelings. It might not be good for a 4 child to be like, oh, how is this making you feel? Blah, blah, like, and going through and talking about it, because they're like not emotionally ready for that. So letting to them is going to work much, much better. So when they are hurt or feeling these deep emotions, they might have a really hard time focusing. Don't force them to focus on schoolwork or anything else when they are in these melancholy moods. Try to do something that's going to uplift them. But the things that you would typically go to uplift yourself might not be what uplifts them. It might be watching a sad movie. That could be something that will lift their mood up, and that's okay. Figure out how to see them for who they are, because they are very, very unique. Find the same interests and learn to lean into the unique version that your child is, and encourage it. Encourage their imagination, encourage their uniqueness, and let them be themselves, because that's going to make them connect with you on a deeper level versus if you're trying to change them. They do not want to be changed. They don't want to fit in. They want to stand out, and they want to feel connected to you while they're standing out. All right, we got Enneagram 5 children. So these are the children that are the observers. They observe more than they talk to others. And these are the kids that might love to play alone and be alone a lot of the time. These are truly the introverted children. They can get lost in playing games or being by themselves for hours in books. They are very good at hiding their sensitivity, because they can be very sensitive children, but they can kind of hide it or guard themselves away from their feelings or from other feelings. They might be seen as the know-it-all, because these are kids that are curious and look for the mysteries of the world and try to solve them. And so they might talk to you for like 4 hours straight about reptiles, and you might be like, oh, thanks. Please stop. Please stop. No, showing an interest in them is going to help a lot, because their knowledge makes them feel more empowered. So they might be not interested in the typical social norms, or they might be socially awkward. It doesn't mean that they are a socially awkward person. It just means that they need to introvert to themselves to get their energy back. So they might hoard things that they really love too. So if they love alone time, if they love food, if they love books or movies, they're going to hoard and become almost obsessed about the things that they truly love. So for parenting this Enneagram 5 child, don't push them to socialize too much. Okay. Just because that for you might look like a healthy child, it doesn't mean your child's unhealthy if they don't want to socialize. It just means that that might be part of their personality, and learn to love that they don't need as much socialization, because literally 5s come with a tank. And if it gets too low, they struggle. They actually mentally, physically struggle. So allow them to have this tank and to refill it as they need. Don't push them to be like everyone else, because they are doing just fine. So allow them to have a safe space. So if things are too loud or too noisy, or if they want to leave because there's too much going on, allow them that, because that is part of what they need. And again, they're perfectly normal by themselves. They need logic and rules. So these are not the kids that you can be like, because I said so. They're like, but why? But like, I need to actually know the why behind it. Ones will go, okay, she said so, and that you're the authority. Okay. we'll just go with it. Fives are like, but why? Like, really, why? So allow them to ask that question, and they're not doing it in a way to be, what's that called? They're not doing it to like be naughty or push back or rebel. They're doing it because they actually need to know the logic behind everything they do. Try not to put them on the spot, give them plenty of time to think things through before they do things, and be really straightforward with them, and recognize that your emotions, if you come to emotion from an emotional stance, it might be way too heavy for them. So it can end up overwhelming them. Okay, so we got the Enneagram 6 child. So these are our sweet little anxiety babies. Okay, so they spend a lot of time preparing and planning for something. So say it's a family party, say it's something coming up, say it's a birthday, say it's whatever it is, they are literally planning and thinking about it and overwhelming about it. And these are the ones that like, their stomachs are knots and they get a lot of anxiety about things that you're like, this is not a big deal. But for them, it truly is a big deal. They can easily imagine the worst thing happening, and they can see all the scenarios of how it can play out. They want order and they crave neatness in their life. That doesn't mean that they are the neat children and keep things orderly. It just means that that's something they crave, because honestly, they have so much anxiety. They're trying to find control somewhere. And so they usually might try to create a sense of order, especially when they're in that anxiety setting. And that's okay. Teach them that. Teach them when they feel really anxious to go, okay, let's clean things up and see if that helps you shift your mood. They do not like uncertainty. They don't like wishy-washy behavior. They don't like people not knowing what they really want. They need directness. They need some direct and some answers to things, because they already live with too much uncertainty. They worry about their safety. They worry they don't know where to stand. They feel like they are socially awkward. So they might talk really fast, or they might stutter, or they might lose track of what they're trying to say. And it's because they feel socially awkward around others, because they're in their heads and they're worried about things. And they also struggle with that inner mean voice as well, that's telling them that they're not good enough. So some ways to help a 6 is, do not belittle their fears. Their fears as a child are very, very real to them. And it's okay. It's okay that they feel those fears, and teach them helping coping skills instead of saying, that's not a big deal, stop worrying. Actually teach them how to learn how to cope. And that's going to move a 6 forward much faster. Say what you mean and mean what you say. 6s need you to be direct with them. They need you to tell it like it is, because they don't like it when they feel like people are not being truthful with them. Don't flatter them, because they'll get really skeptical of you. They already are a little nervous with everything that could be going wrong. So make sure that you are being honest in the words you say with them. They naturally question things. It's a defense mechanism, because they're worried about keeping themselves safe. So if they question something you're asking, they're not doing it to be defiant. They are doing it to protect themselves. So teaching them to breathe, teaching them to visualize, teaching them these mindfulness techniques, so that as they grow up, they have more coping skills, because that is very important to an Enneagram 6. Allow them to spend time in nature or by themselves, and really encourage them to have good friends, because they are loyal. And so teaching them how to have good friendships, how to have deep friendships, and what to look for in relationships in the long term is going to be very important for the Enneagram 6 child. Okay, Enneagram 7. Sorry, this was taking a long time. There's just lots with each type. So I hope this is helping you. So Enneagram 7s, these are the children that are just, they wake up with energy. They go to bed at night, like they crash at night, because they have used up that energy all day long. They are big as life. Okay. They jump to the next activity, the next activity. They often might not finish things because if it's not fun anymore, what's the point in doing it? But they'll jump headfirst into something new. They are very spontaneous. They do not like to be bored. They get excited about the littlest things, and they usually are very, very optimistic. These are the kids that are very active and running wild and are absolutely fun, but you've got to make sure that they have something next to do. This was my first child, and I thought that every child was like this, which I was a teacher. So I thought I knew how to be a parent. And then God was like, here's an Enneagram 7 child. And I was like, what the? I was like, I felt like I just had to constantly give him another activity and another activity and another activity because he just was bored out of it. I mean, he was crawling by 6 months. He was running by 9 months. So he was like taking steps at 7 months, and he learned how to climb on top of our fridge at 7 or at 12 months old. Like he is just a bundle of energy all the time. And I've recognized now, oh my gosh, it's a 9 or it's a 7. He's so a 7, and it's okay. They're resourceful, they're fun, they're playful, and allowing him to be himself. So some tips for parenting an Enneagram 7. Number 1, I should pray for you because goodness gracious, they just have energy for days and they feel like they suck it from your soul. So teach them to be thankful for everything that comes up in their life. Teach them to breathe through their negative feelings and to process them rather than moving past them or having like a quick aggressive thing and then trying to move past it. Teaching them to breathe through it, to learn how to, okay, recognize like this is a negative thing and it's okay, negatives happen, and how can we move through it. Accepting when they reveal any of their fears, their anxiety, their mistakes, because usually they hide all of those. So if they bring anything to you that is deep feeling or emotional, make sure to address them. Make sure to put value to them, because for them, that's something that's hard and they usually are going to hide it away. Accept them for their energy, fun, loving self, because they are beautiful and the world needs Enneagram 7s. Make sure to give them affection. They desire and crave your attention. Actually, everyone's attention, but they desire your affection. Make sure to laugh at them and laugh with them. They're very childish at heart, and they have a soul that is so genuine and loving. And so they want to be seen as kind of the joke maker, and it's okay to love them through it. So teaching them to express those emotions is a big one for them, because they often will want to hide them. So Enneagram 8. So let's talk about the Enneagram 8 children. So again, these are the challengers. So they can be assertive, self-reliant, and very strong-willed children. These kids are direct, blunt. They can lose their temper very quickly and very easily. They do not like to feel like they're being controlled or manipulated by other people. They're very honest usually, and they are very self-reliant. So very similar to the little adults as well. They see a problem, they usually take care of it themselves. And they quickly can say who's in power and who's in control. So last thing you want to be in is a power struggle with an 8. Because they literally want to defy everything you say if you are in a power struggle with them. So overly nice people are really annoying to them. They don't feel like they're being genuine and honest. They can be very tactless. They can just say what they say, and you're going, not, let's think before we say. 8s are known for doing and then thinking about it later. They're very independent children, and they will quickly charge because they do not want to be controlled by others. So how do you take care of an Enneagram 8 child? You need to be honest and upfront with them. It is very important. They can sense if you are not being honest with them, and they will feel like they can't trust you. And trust is a big thing with them. Understanding their tantrums and their explosions. Help them to learn how to calm down, help them to learn how to manage their emotion, and don't expect them to maybe be like other children where it's like, oh my gosh, you're throwing a fit and you're being insane and you just need to calm down. For them, those emotions are really big emotions. Let them express those emotions in a healthy way. Be vulnerable and honest with them. Be straightforward. Don't change the plans too much. It froze on the Facebook right when I was pulling my hair, so I look like a crazy person. Don't mind me over here. Don't manipulate them. Manipulation it does not work for them. And they do have an extremely thick skin. So when others might tease them or whatever, it might not be a big deal for them, and they are able to let go of what other people think. Be firm about the rules and what needs to be done, but don't overreact when they don't follow the rules. In fact, the more I read this or think about it, I'm pretty sure that's what my originally Enneagram 9 child was. Pretty sure he's an Enneagram 8 now, because he is very, very aggressive at times, and yet can be the sweetest thing in the whole wide world. All right, last one, and then we're almost done. I'm so sorry. This is going a little bit longer, but the Enneagram 9 child is usually very, very laid back. They are generous. They love to relax with you and snuggle with you. They like watching TV, whatever it is that's relaxing. They usually have like a blanket that they love because they love that sense of relaxation. They tend to be let everything go child. So they're like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. They usually don't let their wants and needs be known, and that's okay. They repress their anger and kind of push it down. They enjoy spending time with others as long as they feel comfortable with other people. They are very generous and compassionate, and sometimes they can be very passive aggressive. It's a very normal trait of a sweet Enneagram 9. They can be passive aggressive. So if they get really frustrated with you, they can hide it and be like, no big deal, no big deal, no big deal. And they will do things to bug others because they are being passive aggressive. They can feel like they need to disappear. So if, say, like you're having, okay, it's time to clean, kids, and you're having this like, everybody needs to clean, and you're getting really frustrated, and all of a sudden your Enneagram 9 child disappears, pretty sure it's because there was too much conflict. They couldn't handle it and they needed to go away from it. So some ways to help your Enneagram 9 child. Talk to them about their feelings. Let them know it's okay to express their opinions, because they do have opinions. They just usually hide them inside. Let them know that they're allowed to have opinions, and let them be seen, because often they feel like they can't be seen. Listen to them while they're talking, because if they are talking, it usually means that it means something to them. They usually don't have anything to say until they say it, and they're like, okay, let me be seen. That's so important to them. Give them good affirmations. Tell them that they're important to you. Ask them questions so you can help with their feelings. A big thing with an Enneagram 9 is if you want their opinion on something or want them to make a choice, don't give them open-ended choices. What would you like to watch on Netflix? That is way too open-ended. Instead, would you like to watch story blocks, or would you like to watch I can't think of another one right now. So think of like, you've got to give them options, because too many choices will overwhelm them. So be kind with them. They do have very, very gentle hearts. So Bianca asks, is your 8 your oldest? So my oldest is, he's 7, and he's an Enneagram 7. He's a 7 wing 8. At least as far as I can see. I'm thinking my middle, who is 4, about to be 5, I think he's an Enneagram 8. He used to be an Enneagram 9. I cannot decide on my Enneagram, or on my 3. He turns 3 this weekend. I still can't decide. I see a lot of Enneagram 3 in him, but his personality is not completely set yet. But again, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I hope that these helped you. Do you have any questions for me before we hop off? This is something that is so passionate for me, because as a mother, it gave me so much purpose to be able to understand why I felt like I wasn't fit for motherhood, or I wasn't a good enough mother, because I valued to be so much more. I wanted to be so much more. And I felt like motherhood wasn't very fulfilling for me. And I still struggle with it every single day, because nobody's giving me that ding trophy that I deserve, because I did dishes for the 12th time today. And so I now recognize I'm able to be a strong mom as an Enneagram 3. And I believe that of every single Enneagram. So thank you so much for listening. If you have any more questions, you can always come over to my Instagram.
Well, thank you so much, Tess. I am so excited we were able to connect and have you with us today because, understanding your children's motivations and how their personality works, I really think is something that we really haven't talked about in the past. And I think it's something that's really new and it's super relevant to being a mom. Like I have my little spirited one right here that's just wants to do all the things. So I definitely am trying to figure him out right now, but yeah. So yeah, I'll definitely make sure to put your Instagram in the chat so we can get people over there because you have tons of value and help with all the Enneagram numbers. So thank you again for hanging out with us today and sharing all your wisdom.
Thank you so much for me. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll see ya.
See ya.